Has anything in your life ever been away for so long that it just becomes old hat? But then, out of nowhere, someone comes in and tries to change the way everything is done. Or in this case, said. This is how many Americans have felt when an uproar emerged about two words embedded within the Pledge of Allegiance, the words, under God. The purpose of this speech is to keep the words, under God, in the Pledge of Allegiance, but it is also to show how it is sustainability related. To most people's surprise, this topic can be related to sustainability. Sustainability means to be upheld, supported, and confirmed. So, applying this definition to the Pledge of Allegiance, it is clear that continuing to keep the words under God written within it will only allow for it to be more sustainable. I feel that this makes it a great example of something that can be sustained and has been sustained for over half a century. What I'm going to speak about today are need. We don't need to change the Pledge of Allegiance, we simply need to leave it the same. Satisfaction, challenge by choice. You can choose to say what you feel comfortable saying. And finally, visualization. Are you really choosing a religion when you say the words, under God? My first main point is about need. In the case of the Pledge of Allegiance, it is not a matter of what needs to be changed, rather it is a matter of what needs to remain the same. America is a country that is based on tradition, and tradition is how it should remain. But with this being said, according to the U.S. history, in August of 1892, Francis Bellamy wrote the American Pledge of Allegiance, and a new era began. Following the writing of it, its words have taken form in many different ways, but since 1954, it has remained the same. The 31-word pledge is, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As warm-blooded Americans, we all know our country's allegiance, but unfortunately, there are many who believe the words under God should be removed. I believe that the words under God should remain in the Pledge of Allegiance because it signifies why our country's founding fathers created this great nation anyway. The United States rose up as a country because people were being persecuted for their religious beliefs in England. Americans wanted to make sure that history would not repeat itself, so it was then declared a religiously free state. But the men who built this country were strong men of faith. They understood the rights that God, their Creator, gave to all men. According to Michael Lipka, in an article from 2013, the words under God were added in 1954 because many Congress members wanted to separate our state from the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was a very strong atheist powerhouse at the time, so Congress made the decision to show that we are a stable religious nation by adding the words under God. I understand that we're no longer in the Cold War, but the words under God still hold the same meaning as they did 60 years ago, and that they represent the United States of America as a religious country. Moving on to my next point, satisfaction. In order to satisfy the needs of those who do not believe in God or people who choose to believe in other things, they do have the choice when it comes to reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance is similar to prayer in school, except for the fact that in most states it is mandatory to be offered, where prayer is not mandatory. With this, it shows that you do not have to recite the Pledge of Allegiance if you choose not to, but for those who do make that choice, they most certainly have the option. Although most state laws require schools to recite the Pledge of Allegiance at some point during the school day, a few others reserve the right to the school, and only 5 states do not have a law regarding students delivering the Pledge of Allegiance during the school day. This includes Iowa, Vermont, Hawaii, Oklahoma, and Wyoming, according to Crystal Goss. In an article written by Catherine Weber, a Madison, Wisconsin school did not offer the Pledge of Allegiance in school until a sophomore and her parents complained to the administration, stating that it is a state law to offer the Pledge of Allegiance at some point during the school day in order for students to show their patriotism to the United States. Months went by before any action was taken, but finally the pledge was offered in school. But soon after, some of the words were omitted and others were replacing them, causing an uproar in many ways. Some completely left out the words under God, while others didn't even say the phrase one nation under God. And finally, some chose to exchange the word God with peace. But what needs to be realized by everyone is that those who decide to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning before class are not choosing a religion. They are simply choosing to show patriotism to their country. The third point I will discuss on is visualization. Aside from the Pledge of Allegiance, for over 200 years, many of our expressions of our national identity and patriotism have referenced God, according to the NRP staff in 2013. One example would be on all U.S. currency. The words, "In God We Trust," are written. Another is in a court of law. The person on the stand is to place their right hand on the Bible and repeat the words, "Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?" There was even an iconic American song that was written stating, "God bless America, land that I love." When Apollo 13 was disabled in space, the president called upon the country to pray. In Desert Storm, every soldier received a copy of the 91st Psalm, and in 2001, when our country was struck by tragedy when the Twin Towers were attacked, it was to God in which we turned to. If we allow this change to the Pledge of Allegiance, how long will it be before the rest of these American traditions and America itself are changed by omitting God for good? So in conclusion, action needs to be taken in order to continue with this American tradition. America was built on tradition, and it is tradition in which we should continue. This country needs to keep the Pledge of Allegiance with the words, "under God," because it shows that we are a country of faith. But the main thing that should be taken away from this is that the Pledge of Allegiance is said as a declaration of patriotism, not a declaration of religion. If you would like to sign a petition in order to keep under God in the Pledge of Allegiance, please visit www.petition2congress.com.